All right, welcome back. This is the second episode that we have featuring Annemarie and Tom, two of quote-unquote normal, whatever the heck that means, teenagers. Annemarie is off to college in the fall.
I am.
And Tom is going to be a senior.
I know.
Very exciting. How does it feel, Tom?
Feels good. It feels good. I don't really have any expectations right now. I mean, I really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, don't. But that's awesome. And what college? I mean,
I'm off to college in Northern Illinois.
Okay, awesome. And are you living on campus?
Yes. I don't know where yet because they have a whole pot of options. But I filled out all my things, and they're like, "Where do you want to live? Who do you want to live with?"
I was going to say,
like,
do you have a
don't
roommate
care.
yet?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Not yet. But they're like, co-ed floor or single gender. I'm like, I don't care.
You're like, I want the easy button. Like,
Yeah.
just tell me where to go.
Where's the don't care? Just put me somewhere.
Yes, tell me where to go. So is there like a tradition or something at your school, Tom, senior year that you're really looking forward to? Like a senior trip or
Is there?
skip day
Oh,
or
yes.
something?
There is a senior trip. Probably
There
not
is?
going to go
I
on
didn't
that.
know that.
It's not like official. It's just, I think usually like
is
a
it
huge...
the spring break trip?
Yeah, I think just a
Yeah.
huge friend group goes, and then it's just this quote-unquote senior trip. But I think prom, I didn't get to go to that this year, so
Neither
I'll
did
try
I.
to go.
Oh,
I
you didn't
mean-
get to do your prom. Were you
Well,
upset or
it was
did you not
there,
care?
but no one that I knew said they were going, so I was like, meh. So I still have my dress. I'll just put it on and go to dinner one night.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I went to the food court at my...
Dude,
It was amazing.
that sounds
And then we went roller skating
fabulous.
afterwards.
Oh,
it
in
was
your
awesome.
in your
So
froofy
fun.
In
dress.
my froofy
Yes.
dress.
Wow.
I want to do that.
It
I'm
was
gonna go
really
do that
fun.
now.
That does sound fun.
When Crestwood Mall still existed, but you don't even know what that is now. It's fine.
All
So-
I know is where we had graduation yesterday was literally abandoned mall.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Well, they're now they're trying because of COVID. They're trying to use like big empty spaces. So malls. Who goes to those anymore? Or do you? Do you go to malls?
I go to the mall, and the mall by where we used to live is being like half of it's being torn down and turned into more like the streets of St. Charles kind of thing, where it's like the shops on the bottom, apartments
sure.
on top kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because millennials are moving back to the suburbs, but they can't afford houses.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that adults, which I guess I'm 40. It sounds so weird. I
You're an
turned
adult.
40 this year. I'm an adult, but one of the secrets of being an adult is that you never feel like one. So I'm talking about adults and I don't feel like an adult, but let me put on my adult hat. So
The adult to your adults.
I think one of the things that adults think about teenagers is that y'all aren't like with it. You're not educated. You don't read. You don't.
Yeah.
And I find that teenagers, not just today, but even 10 years ago, are some of like the smartest, with it, most learned people. Maybe it's because you're in school.
That is
I
a
don't
fact
know.
that I saw, is that either we are or millennials are some of the highest educated generations.
Yeah.
I hope it's us.
I hope it's us too.
So what? Technically, you're Zillennials. Is that right?
I've
Gen
heard
Z.
Zoomers.
Gen
I've heard.
Z.
I think I'm a Zillennial because I'm in 2002.
Okay.
Because I'm right at that little cuspy.
I don't know.
You don't care.
Yeah.
We exist in the in between. We're kind of 90s, kind of 2000s, kind of in the middle.
So besides this idea that teens don't really care about
We're
stuff, that they're vapid, man, great vocab. Like what? Because I see that. Do you see that? That's kind of
yeah.
like a bad,
Oh, yeah.
misperception. What else? What else are adults getting wrong about your generation?
Things that get blown up on the internet, and then they assume that we're all into it. Because just because
Oh,
something goes viral doesn't mean everyone's into it.
okay.
Right. And I
Mm.
guess like the one like huge one is that we're on our phones all the time. Maybe just because we've just always had phones, and like we touched on last episode, like the social media, but it's like I'm not on my phone 24/7, and sometimes I'm just on it whenever no one's around me. So why would I just stand there and look stupid, you know?
Look,
Yeah.
awkward.
Well, and adults do that too. I mean, adults are on their phone
Exactly.
constantly.
Exactly.
My mom's like, "You're on your phone." I'm like, "You're on your iPad."
Do you think that, what I hear sometimes is that adults say that, kids these days, like, don't have the EQ. Like, can't engage in a conversation like we're having right now. I mean, I'll tell you right now, we could record 14 episodes because you all engage in a conversation. And it was not hard, by the way, for me to find 2 teenagers to come on. That you all talk, you have opinions, you have beliefs, you have value systems.
In the words of Sigmund Freud, I think the adults are projecting. I think they're seeing what they see in themselves and going, no, that's you, not me. That's you, not me.
Wow. Okay. We're quoting Freud here.
I just did AP Psych, boys.
Oh, wow.
If I have to know it, so do you. But in all seriousness, I feel like there's a difference though between the older, not you, like older generation.
I don't take offense.
No, you're not in the older generation. Like literally, like the boomers kind of realm. I feel like there's a difference in just how we behave and how we act. Like, for example, if I hold the door for someone and they say thanks, I say no problem or no worries. But if my grandma holds the door for somebody and they say thanks, she's going to say you're welcome. And I think it's a difference of they're like, I'm doing a service for you. I want you to acknowledge it. Versus I think we're more like, I don't know, it's just what we do.
And it's like I can't help it. I mean, I think they just had very different like social norms whenever they grew up, and those really aren't. They're more relaxed now, and so I think they think that we aren't as sociable because of that. But I don't think that's the case. And
I feel like we're insanely social because of it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And another thing that I've caught on is a lot of adults will tell me, like, you are so well-worded, you are so responsible, you are so this, you're so that. And so it's like, they always compliment me just for being, like, a good person. So
exactly.
I don't know if that's just because they have low standards for me, or if it's because, like, they just don't meet the right teenagers. But I just think they already have low standards coming in to, like, meeting any sort of teenager, and then they just think that
I feel like
I'm just a golden boy for that.
Exactly, because I feel like it's what they see in movies, TV shows, in the magazines, on social media, and all that stuff, that they see teenagers being bratty and difficult and rude and, you know, the stereotypical teenage angsty. And then they meet us, like Tom and I, and they're like, oh, wow, you actually are a decent human being. And it's like, yeah, I know I am. Thanks.
You know, and what's interesting is I don't know that that's that different from when I was a teenager. I mean, I can remember being at the mall, and a few of my friends and I sat on a bench because, I don't know, we were at a mall and we sat on a bench, we were eating a pretzel, and the mall security guards came and told us to keep it moving because we were loitering. It's like, I'm not, and they said, well, you teenagers, you just always congregate. And I mean, let's be real. I am a white female. I think that the response probably, 20 years ago would have been very different. If I had been a black female or a black male, it would have been they probably would have escorted me out of the mall. And I just got pissed. So I wrote a letter to the mall and I demanded that teenagers should be allowed to, quote unquote, loiter. And I was met with the same thing. Like, well, you're so articulate. We've never met teenagers who actually form opinions. And it's like,
it's because you dismiss us from the get-go. So we say, why even try?
And that was in 1998. I mean, come on. So it's almost like times really aren't that different. It just maybe has a different outside shell.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a divide brewing of the kids. Like, I don't know if you have siblings. I have 2 siblings.
I have one, a younger one.
Younger,
I feel like there's a divide between people with helicopter parents and people without helicopter parents. Because, like, my parents, I have 2 siblings. I'm in the middle, so it's kind of been since the third one showed up, you guys figure it out. We're here to help you. They're obviously my parents. They do parent things.
Of course,
but it's, please entertain yourselves. Please figure out how to solve your own issues because we can't solve everything for you. Versus the kids that I have met kids that have the helicopter parents that do and fix everything for them. And I'm like, wow, when you're on your own, you're going to fall flat on your face.
Yeah.
I would say to you that is also present in, quote unquote, adults and grown-ups. It's very interesting. The people who, you can say resiliency, life skills, you can say like a good head on your shoulders, whatever word you want to put. It's like, can you figure it out on your own? Like, and not everybody can, right? Because some people are struggling with, mental health issues or they've got major family stuff going on. So circling back kind of to what we had touched upon briefly, which is, you might notice a friend that you're not hearing from, that you're not seeing on social media, that maybe has gone just like kind of MIA. How do you talk to your friend, encourage them to get support? Do you, we teach something called carefrontation, where we talk about, what we're seeing and, what we need to happen. And it could be everything from go talk to a counselor to, hey, just like, I just want to be with you. Like, I just want to hang with you. And I mean, have you had those kind of conversations? Like, how have they gone?
I haven't. But I normally check in on my friends, and I have never had anything where they aren't saying anything to me or they're being MIA like that. But whenever my friends are experiencing stuff, I'm checking in with them. I'm making sure they're all right. And normally we'll just hang out and we'll go get ice cream or something, But I've never had that instance.
Has anybody done that to you?
No. I do have a few friends that are just so sweet, and they'll text everyone that they know and like, hey, I hope you're having a really good day and stuff like that. And I did that before AP exam season, and I was like, I hope you guys have really great AP exam. I hope you guys do well. We're gonna kill it. This year sucks.
Can we be friends, Tom? That's a very nice friend thing to do.
Yes,
That's
we
a
can.
quality friend right there.
Yeah, that is a quality friend. So you kind of do like routine buddy checks.
Yeah.
So you're keeping in constant contact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Annemarie?
Complete left field from him. I've had to do that a few times. I've had to do the check-ins because people are disappearing, because I went to an insanely competitive school before I moved here. And so we definitely, like, it was high, like, pressure cooker kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely had to check in on a few people and be like, hi, why aren't you answering me? Because if you don't answer me soon, I'm either going to call the cops or come find you myself. I don't know which one you'd prefer. Probably the cops, because I'm going to,
Because I'm going to strangle you, right?
Yeah. Which is the mean version.
I know. Well,
but there's also the, I've had a friend who had a difficult family history, and something had happened. They weren't answering the phone. And then suddenly they called me and they were, distraught. And I'm like, all right, car, me, now, get you. You stay at my house for a few days. Because, you got to look after your people in this world. You get your people, you find your people, you take care of your people, because then your people will take care of you, too. It takes a village.
Which sounds trite, but it's really,
it really does.
It's really true.
Yeah.
It's really true. Do you find that, we know what's happening with adults right now, kind of in terms of drinking is going way up, use of prescription drugs to cope kind of continues to skyrocket. We know Adderall and things like that are being prescribed, more because kids are having a hard time sitting still in front of a computer screen, which then leads to more people having it and more potential for it to get into the wrong hands. Are you seeing that in not in your specific group, but amongst your peers? Do you see more people your age, kind of leaning on substances to cope, or not necessarily?
I don't necessarily think any of my really close friends use them to cope, or really just use them at all. And I think I would know. Yeah. But
it sounds like you have a very tight friend group.
Yeah, I would know. But I do know a few people who aren't really, really close, and I've talked to them about it, and I haven't gotten too deep into it because I don't want to be
that person.
Yeah, I don't want to be intruding. But if they are comfortable enough to talk about something like that with me, I'm like, hey, if you know that you want to stop it, and if you know you don't want to do it anymore, text me, call me, let's figure this out.
So Tom, I gotta interrupt because you said that you haven't had any of those kind of conversations, but it actually sounds like you have.
No, I have.
Then they don't all have to be serious sit down. I'm worried about you.
No, it wasn't
right?
serious at all. It was very casual, and then
I'm here.
Yeah,
to
I'm
do it.
Here, if you want to talk about anything, let me know. And then a few days later, they were like, "Yep, I stopped and I got rid of it." And hopefully it goes better from here on out. And I'm like, that's awesome to hear. I love to hear it because it didn't have to be anything anything really serious. It was super casual. It was like, hey, I'm here for you. And then that's it. And that's how it worked out.
That's amazing. And that's something that I think most people they don't understand, right? Is that it doesn't have to be this like, let's talk about drugs.
There doesn't need to be a serious intervention.
Sex. Like,
you
right.
can have like a come to
exactly.
Jesus, and it's literally like, we're going to sit down and
What's
have a
going
come
on?
to Jesus kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with actually one of my teammates, and saw her for the first time. I hadn't seen her in a really long time, and I just looked at her and I said, "You look like crap. What's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I wasn't being like rude. You know, somebody, you're right, and she said, "You're right. We need to talk. Like, we need to go out to lunch," and it can be that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Why doesn't it happen more often then?
Because
Why don't
people
we check
don't
in?
like intruding on other people's lives. We like to wait and see if someone will notice. We like to wait and see if someone will notice that we're not talking to them, and someone to notice that we're not there, and because you want to feel like somebody cares about you, which people care about you. Please, if you take one thing away from what I say, people care about you.
Totally.
But sometimes people just don't see it because you're too good at hiding it, or they have so much else going on in their lives. And sometimes it isn't people choosing to use drugs illicitly, like you said, in a different realm, people that don't realize they need it, that they need that little bit of help.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've had to have so many conversations with people this year, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so depressed. I'm so tired. It's been like 3 months and I can't get out of bed." And I'm like, "Okay, go call your doctor, talk to your therapist, talk to someone, because I can only help you for so long, but I'm here to support you."
That is something that I do notice about your generation, is that you all generally, now of course there are exceptions, but generally you all seem much more open to talking about mental health.
Therapy slaps. Therapy is so
By the
good
way,
when you find
if you're
the
an
right
adult
therapist.
listening and you don't know what slaps means, slaps is a good thing.
Yes.
So,
Therapy,
yes.
when you have the right person, is amazing, because therapy isn't always just like, "Oh, my childhood was horrific and I'm, all these terrible things and I have all these issues." It can literally be like going, "I have a really stressful work life and I need someone to help me figure out how to manage that better."
Right.
Or, you can go for a couple of weeks. "I am really struggling right now with the AP season and I need someone to talk it out with." Therapy is good. Therapy is your friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
Therapy over drugs, kids.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really great way to end it. I love it. I couldn't have said it better myself. I could go on talking with both of you for a very long time. And if you're listening, I think you can understand why I asked Annemarie and Tom to be our first guests, because they have a lot of insight, they have a lot of empathy, and you also are doing it. You're doing it. You're prompting people to check in on themselves. You're checking in on each other. You're advocating. We didn't even get into all of that, all of the ways that you all are not practicing performative activism, but like
Actual
real
activism.
actionable.
Talking to people, not just posting on my story.
Exactly. It's kind of amazing. My mind is blown, but I am just so thankful for you all being here today. If you like this conversation, if you want more, please think about subscribing to the podcast. There will be more where this came from. Lots of in-depth conversations about substantive things with normal, whatever the heck that means, people.
Subscribe.
Yes.
Thank you.